Hope you guys had a great weekend. It's Dukes and Bell on our pre show. As we bring you behind the curtain to talk about some of the things that went on. Some of this stuff we'll get to, some of it we won't. And the bottom line is it was a crazy football weekend. The Falcons were off. They will play Monday night, not tonight, but next Monday against Buffalo. And here's the deal, Mike, as we talk about the weekend, man, I know you had a crazy weekend down there at Tallahassee. We'll talk more about it in detail on the show today. But just generally speaking, what was the sentiment after that Miami loss?
Yeah, just the kind of limitations or maybe hitting a ceiling with Tommy Castellanos, kind of the feeling that everybody kind of had if you're a Florida State fan like me before the Alabama game. And then the Alabama game gave you the sense of, hey, maybe we can compete with the big boys. And then you see at times in the Virginia game and certainly this week against Miami team. By the way, I didn't see Miami last year in person. We all know that Cristobal can recruit. To see the speed, Carl, and the athleticism and the size that they've got. Florida State's defensive line couldn't get any heat on Carson Beck. He looked great. But I think maybe a reality check back to what some Florida State fans are feeling. Maybe the ceiling was 7 or 8 wins for this team. You still got to go to Death Valley to play Clemson, even though Clemson doesn't look like Clemson. But, yeah, it's just maybe kind of a reality check that, you know, Miami is so much further down the road. And they built a culture because it's a combination of the kind of guys that Cristobal's brought in, augmented with the transfer portal with a guy like Beck.
You want to talk about a reality check?
Oof.
Really? Really? You want to talk about a reality check? Let me tell you. Hey, don't do that on this show. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Watching these games over the weekend, first of all, it was a really good college football weekend. Not so much for Penn State, not so much for the Longhorns. But they got exposed up front. And you're talking about Miami, and it was just a few weeks ago that David Pollack told us, you guys better start watching Miami. He said this, and we were like, okay. And he's exactly right. They are loaded up front, and they block their asses off. They protect Carson Beck, 1 sack given up. And then you fast forward, or you look back at the Texas game, where Arch Manning was on his ass 7 times in that game, pressured, hit numerous times. The kid showed a lot of heart getting up. And Texas fans are not killing necessarily Arch because they understand he didn't have any time to throw. They couldn't block to save their lives. So the reality check is all this talk about recruiting, Mike, you're not good up front. And that is what you realize right now with Texas. The O-line specifically, the defense is still really good, man. They're keeping them in games, but the O-line can't block. So that was a reality check. And then it makes you wonder with the rest of the schedule. Now, they've got a path to the college football playoff. Obviously, they could easily slide back into the top 12, maybe even top 6, if you beat all 4 of your ranked opponents on your schedule that are left. The problem is, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think it was a reality check also for Penn State. Franklin's not it, man. He's just not it. You cannot lay an egg like that on the road, Mike.
But that day is the example. I know it's cliche from your old high school coaches. Don't let last week's loss beat you this week, so it basically turns into 2. And I think that's where it's at. Everyone just came and expected him to grease it. Rick Neuheisel's son, the tight ends coach, calling plays, and Nico Iamaleava, Carl, looked great. The first time he's looked great in a UCLA uniform.
Yeah.
In front of like 35,000 people in a half-empty Rose Bowl. What a strange weekend it was for the upsets. But, yeah, I mean, if I'm a Penn State fan, you've got to say we've got to get a coach who gets us to the next level because this is not good enough. You don't beat the elites in the Big Ten, and now you're losing games like that.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah, that was a bad one for Franklin. Obviously, that was the one that stood out to me more than than the Texas losses. I mean, look, Texas, Florida, like, come on, you're talking about 2 premier programs. Not to take anything away from UCLA, but UCLA has started this year, how things have been going for them. You don't expect Penn State to go out there and really get handled early on in that game. They don't come on until late in that game to even make it look like it was going to be competitive. So, yeah, that's a bad break for Franklin. I don't know what they do. You see the tweet where they put out where it's like a collage of videos of all these Penn State fans just going off. It's hilarious.
Yeah, well, look, I think obviously, it's a big buyout, somewhere upwards of $50 million. So he's not going anywhere. I get it. I don't think they have the balls or the courage to pull the trigger there, but I'm convinced he's just not a guy that's going to take you to the next level. They're going to win a lot of games. You know what? Georgia fans, he's Mark Richt. That's who James Franklin is. He's going to win a lot of games. You'll be relevant, but you're not going to win national championships. And Yeah. That's who James Franklin is. And if you don't feel like your program should be playing for national championships, then you don't fire him. You just stay the course. And I think that's where they're going to what they're going to do, Mike.
I think you look at the elites, and especially with all the money now coming into the Big Ten, I think expectations. I mean, no shit, Sherlock, right? Expectations are even higher. But yeah, you're just not at that same level. Maybe now again, if he can coach his butt off, the same thing we said about Kirby and his staff, you really got to find another gear. And I know it sounds, okay, good luck with that. But this was supposed to be the year where Penn State had their upperclassmen stick around. The way they stayed at Ohio State, stayed at Michigan. Drew Aller, this is his chance to presume he's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL. You bet, as Carl said, it's not over, but it sure feels like that because both these teams, Texas and Penn State, fall completely out of the AP top 25.
Yeah, a lot of ranked teams to play. We'll see. And this is what I was saying earlier to a lot of fans that were hitting me up, Texas fans, like, yo, Georgia has one SEC loss too. Nobody's counting them out. So does Texas. So at the end of the day, it's one SEC loss. If you were talking about 3 SEC losses, you're done. But that's not the case. All right, let's shift gears because we got a problem. Folks, thanks for listening, being here, watching us, however you're accessing this, whether it's Twitter Live, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, all the formats and platforms that we're on. Appreciate you guys being there. We're on today at 2 o'clock on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. We got a problem.
What is it?
We needed Buffalo to lose. And the reason why is because we needed them to be fat and comfortable coming into Mercedes-Benz on Monday night. Now they're pissed off. Now they're upset. And now they're like, oh, we let the lowly Patriots beat us. We made all these mistakes. Mike, they're going to come in here motivated, and they will fix all of the things that were wrong. Do not think that we're going to be able to do any of the stuff that the Patriots did and have to say they're going to fix all of that. And all of a sudden now this becomes a much more difficult game.
Yeah, I'm with Carl on this one. I wanted an undefeated Bills Mafia, all this. They bring their fan base. It is what it is. Until we establish ourselves year after year, we're still going to have, to be honest, a lot of fans getting access to our seats. It just is what it is with the PSLs. But Carl just touched on it. I thought going into this game, especially in the first half, wow, look at what they're doing to Ramondre Stevenson. Bijan's 10 times the athlete he is. We can get so much going on in the running game between him and Algier. Sean McDermott, they're going to hunker down, to Carl's point, get back in the lab, and they got a full week. Don't forget, it's until next Monday, a week from tonight. So I hope that Zach Robinson is also burning the midnight oil on this because this one all of a sudden has the feelings of, man, 4-quarter battle. And how defensively are we going to do? Because it looks like they're dead in the water that Josh Allen starts doing Josh Allen stuff. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, I think the key to this one, and they talked about this last night in regards to what the Patriots were doing. The key for the Falcons is going to be keeping Josh Allen off the field, and you do that by a heavy dose of Tyler and
run game.
You got to find a way to run that ball. And they average giving up Buffalo. That is, they give up right now after last night about 5.6 yards per carry. So they're like tied for second worst in the league as far as yards per carry. So you've got to find ways to pick up these little 5 and dime, gains on the ground with Tyler and Algier. And again, keep Josh Allen over there on the sideline as long as possible in this one.
Hey, I had Stephon Diggs last night in fantasy. Giddy up. Beat the wife, awkward in my home this morning. But anyway, a guy on Twitch here, JT's going, we're going to go up and down the field on those Bills. Okay. I think we got some weapons. I think we got Pitts. We could argue we got more skill position weapons than what the Patriots brought to bear last night.
Yeah, I do too. I also think this is a testament to Mike Vrabel. Vrabel does a great job of what they call muddying the waters. We're going to stay close. We're going to do the things necessary. And then at the end, we'll be able to pull it out. He did this crap in Tennessee when he was there. They weren't superior to people. He had a great running back, a mediocre quarterback. And Arthur Smith would talk about this. Like, we're just hanging in the game. And then at the end, we're going to kick a field goal, win the game. And everybody goes, how did they win that game? Part of that is just like knowing we shouldn't be on the field with these guys. Buffalo's way better than the Patriots. But you muddy the waters, you do those little things you're talking about, and all of a sudden, man, you're in the fourth quarter. So I don't know, Mike. I'm more worried, and I don't want to go down this road, but I'm a little bit more worried now because Josh Allen doesn't have back-to-back bad games anymore. He doesn't. No. That's not who he is. He is a legitimate MVP again this season. And if he doesn't win it, Baker Mayfield may win it if he keeps playing the way he is.
Right. By the way, I thought those old school 76 uniforms cut glass.
Sweet.
I thought the cleanest uniforms were Tampa Bay and Seattle and Baker doing his thing. But real quick, I heard Collinsworth say this on the broadcast last night, and I agree. James Cook, they don't use him in the passing game enough.
No.
They basically just send him down 5-6 yards, turn around. If they started to use him the way we use Bijan, that would be a little more dynamic. But hey, that's a Buffalo problem.
Let's hope they don't decide to do that this week then, or next week. But, I think also, let me ask you guys this, because we're talking about how the offense and it's going to have to be dynamic. But what about the defense? Because on paper, this could probably be the most, dangerous offense, I guess you would say, that this young defensive team has kind of faced so far this season. How much pressure is on them, would you guys say, to kind of, prove that, what we've been seeing from them is real, and it's not a fluke.
Go ahead, Carl.
The key for me this week is wrapping up. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen is 6'5". They list him at 230, guys. He might be 250. I mean, seriously. He's a hamburger away from 250 on the field on Monday night. You got to wrap up. And the point is, we've seen lesser stature quarterbacks escape our pressure. Baker, right? You go back to Joshua Dobbs. These guys, they don't have the size of Josh. So Josh, he kind of throws guys off like gnats, like, get off me. And then he picks up 3 more yards and spins, and it gets 3 more yards. Next thing you know, it's 2nd and 2. Got to wrap up this week. Like, Dede, I'm not as concerned. I know Jesse Bates has been in the lab. I know Xavier Watts has been in the lab. They've been watching this film. They know what they want to do back half of the defense. But when we get to Josh, or he's running, if we don't wrap up, we're done. He is going to pick up so many extra yards, and that is what kills you. So it sounds like simplistic, but that's my concern, because every week I watch this dude, and I'm like, there's no way he should have escaped that. And then he does, and if he beats 2 of your defensive linemen, or you bring a blitz and he beats that by escaping a tackle, now he's throwing the ball 30, 40 yards down the field because you have mismatches. That's my concern this week.
Well, the other thing is, why do we draft James Pearce and Jalen Walker for a game like this? To be that guy. We saw Jalen Walker against J.J. McCarthy, just busting things up, throwing guys around. That's where you need the explosive nature of, again, why did you move up in the first round? We spent so much time this summer about how great James Pearce. Time for James Pearce to crank it up.
Yes.
You know what? I'll make that a focal point. Crank it up, James Pearce, this week. I mean, I got no complaints. I mean, as you said, Carl, some rookies just hit the ground running like Micah Parsons. Other evolve. But, I need him to pay dividends on Monday night, to your point, to get Josh Allen on the ground and, more importantly, behind the line of scrimmage.
You're right. We, by the way, have DJ Shockley's going to join us today in the 4 o'clock hour, 4:20. Steve Holman, bang, the voice of our Atlanta Hawks, is going to join us. Hawks preseason starts tonight, so we'll get just a little bit of a preview. We'll talk to Steve throughout the course of the season, but believe it or not, preseason Hawks starts tonight, so we'll get on that as well. But let's shift gears here real quick, because we only have a few more minutes, guys. Thanks again for being here. Dukes and Bell, Dede, our executive producer. Big O's off today. We're going to be on at 2 o'clock. UGA's win. We are going to talk more about this, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, there's something I'm going to tell you that you will want to hear about UGA today on the show. You do not want to miss it, okay? Mike, they beat Kentucky. We thought they would. They covered. Hey, they covered.
Kirby covers a spread. How about them apples, man? And, for a minute there, I said, wow, early in the game, this is going to be a grind. Yes, Georgia, we talked about the numbers. It was abysmal. Not even just a double digits, just against the spread in general for the last 3 years for Georgia. So that was a big one. Didn't monkey around with an inferior opponent, as we talked about. And then everybody else in college football, we had, a mixed bag at best with our picks. We'll discuss that coming up as well.
Hey, it's hard. We said it. This has been a weird year. Mike and I were both on Penn State, and they laid an egg. Like, that's embarrassing what happened. But it's been a very difficult year. And if you bet or you're into betting like we are, you guys know. I don't know what my percentages are, not just picks. I'm talking about games that I'm actually on in real life. And it's been difficult, man. The NFL has been a beast, by the way.
Yeah. I had to call my guy after taking it 0-2 in college on Saturday. I went heavy on the Colts. The good news was I didn't sweat it. That was the only one I hit this week. That was an easy one without no Brock Bowers and the Raiders coming east, and they were flatter than my kid's sister. So yeah, the Colts cover, and that was an easy win to make a little cheddar back. Yeah,
I think the difficult one for me to follow was the Nebraska-Michigan State, because I took the under, which I think was 49, and it was low scoring all the way up until the fourth quarter. And, I was just, you gotta be kidding me.
Also today, we got to get into this afternoon when Day does Yeah Man, No Man. He just did on a whim a road trip to the heart of the dirty South, which is kind of interesting. So that'll be also part of Dukes and Bell today.
All right, man. Make sure you're there. I can't wait to hear it, Day. I know you guys had a good time. I hope your boy did. Don't want to ruin it for our audience, but we got a lot in store. UGA fans, I'm going to tell you something today on the show you're going to want to hear. Make sure you're there. 2 o'clock, Dukes and Bell, Day. We'll talk to you guys.
I got to pay off a bet, Carl. I got to pay off a bet. It's all about the you.
There it is. There it is. Oh, I know.